we measure the ventricles and what is the best landmark, or what is the best measurement rule for measuring the ventricles. As Dr. Zared in his talk he talked about the ventricular index and also the biparietal diameter. In the literature, so the most common thing are two criteria, two measuring tools. The Wien index, okay, which is basically the ventricular index divided by the biparietal width. And there's a certain chart for that, and you can easily download it from the net, and you can use it as a reference for you to follow those kids, for example, with chunks, to follow up and see how the size of the ventricles grows. Okay? To tell you the truth, we are not using this chart strongly. We are more relying on the anterior horn width, which is also consistent with the other institutional literature. Most of the other institutions use the anterior horn width as a good baseline, and also as a reference to see the prognosis of the size of the ventricle. Okay, keep going. This is the anterior horn width, and it should be less than 3 millimeters. So this is the Wien index or the ventricular index, and usually are using a growth chart. So my advice to you is you have to sit with your clinicians or the surgeons and having an agreement in which system we are using, whether the growth chart or the Wien index technique or the anterior horn width technique. Now, everybody talks about germ matrix. Why is it important, the germ matrix, and why is it so vulnerable for bleeding? As mentioned also in the previous talk, germ matrix is the source of most of your neurons. Okay, it is a small structure that outlines the whole ventricles, but at birth, usually they reside at the choleotherapy group, and it is the source of it is the generation of most of the neurons who are migrating from this germ matrix towards the periphery of the brain. Okay, and this structure, you can imagine, it requires lots of oxygen, lots of blood, and that's why it's always prone to bleeding. And having a general hemorrhage or IVH, it will interfere with the development of the baby, and that's why it's one of the major issues on the neonatal, let's say, morbidities are the IVH and its consequences. So grade 1, basically, this is grade 1. Basically, at the coronal plane, you can see the epigenic structure at the choleotherapy groove. You can see it's asymmetric, so this is a grade 1 hemorrhage. And from prognostic perspective, they have a really good prognosis, grade 1. And this is how it looks like. This is the caudate, and this is the thalamus, and this is your bump. The choleotherapy groove should be nice and empty with no epigenic structures. Once you have this filled bump structure, this is the grade 1 hemorrhage. Grade 2 hemorrhage is where you have intraventricular bleed with no dilatation. I can tell you from my experience as a pediatric radiologist, I've seen thousands of adult sounds. The grade 2 is the most difficult to diagnose. And there's an overlap sometimes between grade 2 and grade 3, right?
Yes.
If you have a clot, if you have a clear clot, that's easy. Piece of cake, there's a hemorrhage, no problem. The problem is when you have the irregularity of the coil plexus, or lobulation of the coil plexus, or the asymmetric lobulation of the coil plexus. Sometimes bleeding is just along coating the coil plexus. So it is really kind of challenging. The best way to resolve this kind of ambiguous situation is by follow and see how this thing is propagating. Okay? So grade 2, basically, just to make it simple for you guys, is intraventricular hemorrhage without dilatation. And this is how they look like on CT scan. Bleeding or clots in the occipital horns with no dilatation. Now, grade 3 is when you have hemorrhage plus dilatation. And as with dilatation means what? What does dilatation mean? How is our reference for dilatation? When do we say this dilated ventricle or not? Is from the frontal horn width,
yes.
right? So more than 3 millimeters at the coronal plane, and the liver ventricle, this is your measurement landmark. If it's more than 3 millimeters, that's dilated ventricle. Okay? And Also, we are always using the term ventriculomegaly. You have to differentiate between ventriculomegaly and hydrocephalus. Hydrocephalus is a red flag. Ventriculomegaly is just big ventricles doing nothing. So, and the way to assess that is by usually it is a clinical assessment. But by imaging, can suggest it by the ballooning of the ventricles, by the effacement of the sulci. When you go to the by the linear plane, you can see the sulci are effaced. So you can suggest this ventricular system is under pressure, so it's a hydrocephalus. It's not like ventricular. Anything else in this image? Rasis?
There is increased echogenicity of the ventricular wall.
Good.
And bilateral enlargement.
Good, thank you very much. Yes, so echogenic wall of the ventricles, right? So this is like a chemical ventriculitis from the hemorrhage. Common things we see. So with hemorrhage, you will see sometimes echogenic walls and the Now, grade 4 is when you have a parenchymal hemorrhage, so pure parenchymal hemorrhage, and you have different degrees. As you know, if you image it early on, it will be echogenic. If it will liquefy with time, become cystic, and it will cavitate with time. So this is the grading system, the Bible classification. Grade 1, just the germinator hemorrhage. 2 is the interventricular without dilatation. 3 is with dilatation. 4 basically when you have extension to the fourth ventricle, or to the brain parenchyma. Now, that's your test, your quiz. All babies have hemorrhage. So, which grade? Let's start with this one. Which grade? Huh? Grade 1, excellent. So with this one?
2.
Probably it is.
Yeah, so this is dilatation. And here? No, this is dilatation here. And this is basically grade 4. So this is grade 2. You have intermittent hemorrhage, but there is no dilatation. This is grade 1. This is with dilatation. And this is grade 4, extending to the brain brain. Now, PVL is another thing that we are seeing in kids, the neonates. PVL basically it's the same pathophysiology of the hemorrhage. It's because of the lack of immature autoregulation of those babies after delivery. Basically, it's an ischemia of the periventricular white matter, and it has different stages, and also the prognosis is different. Okay? And there is a grading system here, and I think it's basically the more deep it is, the more less, and the more towards the surface of the brain, it is more severe. So grade 1 is just periventricular, grade 2 is become more cystic with changes, and 3 is beyond the ventricular system, but less, not extended to the cortex. And 4, when you have the whole thing, the whole white matter from the ependymal wall or ventricular wall toward the cortex is just replaced with cystic changes. This is just telling you how sometimes the periventricular white matter is normal. What's the normal appearance of it? So it's slightly echogenic, and they are symmetric, and they are fraying as you go to the periphery. They are getting less echogenic with the time. And this is this is the normal fraying appearance of the white matter in meaning. Now, in grade 1, it is basically it's echogenic. This kind of nice, smooth, homogeneous, symmetric is lost. It's become really echogenic, and it is heterogeneous, and sometimes it's asymmetric. Okay, so this is a grade 1 PVL. Grade 2, when this echogenicity turns into kind of microcystic changes, and this has got more of extension, but still the cortex is preserved, so this is kind of grade 3 PVL. And grade 4, we have extension all the way to the cortex. This is grade 4 extensive, very bad PVL of this child. PVL has many reasons. Most of the time it's hemodynamic problems, but sometimes it will be other infections and so on. As we mentioned, you should know what is normal, what is abnormal, and unfortunately, in pediatric age group overall, not only the brain, everywhere in the baby's body, there are normal variants. So you have to be familiar with them, how they look like, and they could mimic sometimes abnormalities. So what's the normal variant here? Funeral variant? Okay, so the cave septum bristol, as you mentioned, is wide. This is a normal variant. Okay, normally it should be nice one layer of septum. If they are separated or they're just patent, this is a normal variant. Okay. Sometimes you will have it's the cable variations, right? So sometimes you have a small cyst at the back end of the cable. Okay. What do you call this?
Interpositum.
Okay, so cavum, billum, interpositum. I don't want you to know this name, but this thing is normal variant. Okay, in the right location. Okay, it's in the region of the pineal space. Okay, it's behind the corpus callosum, and it is
No color.
no floor. Please, any cavity, just put the color. It's very easy. It will not cost you any money. Nothing. Just put the color Doppler. Make sure it's not vascular. Okay? Good. Every now and then you'll see tiny cysts here and there in the choroid plexus. Right? These are not alarming, and so most of the time we don't mention them in the report, to be honest, because we don't want to freak the perceived. Yeah, so that's why. So we don't want to freak the perceived team. Because the cysts usually don't mention them, but they are normal. They are normal variant. Just leave them alone. Sometimes you'll have the renal echogenic vasculopathies in the basal ganglia, okay? And the younger the baby, the more prominent they are, but they mean nothing. Well, I shouldn't say they mean nothing, but they are, most of the time, I would say 40% of the population, they are 40-50% is normal variants. It is healthy, feeding well, growing well, no problem. But sometimes they're associated with other diseases, exposure infection, ischemia, chromosomal diseases, and so on. But just so you know, these things are familiar. One of the common things is the cranial cyst. Cranial cyst, anything other than number 2 location is abnormal. Okay? So number 2, which is at the tip of the frontal horn, these things, this is conatal cyst. This is normal variant. Leave it alone. Don't panic. Number 1 is what?
Germinal.
Excellent. So we have a cyst in number 1 location, which is deep. This is like a choroid. This is germinated hemorrhage. Either it's acute or subacute. And number 3 is
PVL.
yeah. So it's a parenchymal cyst. So it's abnormal. Whether it's a porospheric cyst or maybe resolving grade 4 or whatever. But with number 2 is the normal variant conatal cyst. Okay, let's take some cases here. I'll give to Abdulaziz, my favorite fellow. 5 minutes. Okay, so anything missing here? Huh? Sure. Can't hear it. Data? أنا قصيت I'm sorry. So you're missing the cave septum bristol, right? Yeah, so it's kind of squaring of the ventricle. So maybe we are dealing with agency corpus callosum. What's the structure? Echogenic structure here?
Lipoma.
Choroid plexus.
This is just the echogenic verms. They become very
exactly,
right?
yeah.
Okay. Here, what's missing here?
Corpus callosum also. The
Corpus
radiating
callosum is
pattern.
missing. How do you know corpus callosum is missing?
The radiating pattern.
Yeah, integration of the cell side.
Irregularity going downwards, like perpendicular. Normally they are what? They are parallel. So this is your limb. Okay.
Schizencephalic.
Huh?
Schizencephalic.
Schizencephalic. Why you say that?
Because there is
Could be, yes. What else?
Porencephalic.
porencephalic cyst.
Porencephalic cyst. How can you differentiate?
The lining of the.
Can you tell by ultrasound?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, we can. Don't say no. Yeah, we can all the time. I will look at the cortex, see. Okay, good. So you have a big defect, big cyst on the right side of the hemisphere. It's communicating with the lateral ventricle. It's a big, like, congenital porencephalic cyst, or could be like schizencephaly, has been presented by previously.
Cerebellar agenesis.
في sonographer معنا هنا. بتقول sorry, but any finding here? This, what's this? big cystic cavity in the posterior fossa, okay? So what could that be? Yusuf, huh? Dandy Walker, okay, good. So there's a big cyst in the posterior fossa. And this is the patient, so he has a big Dandy Walker and he has like his phalangeal. And you can see all the anatomy of this malformation by ultrasound. You can see, by ultrasound you can detect the cystic cavity, does it have brain or not? Is it only CSF or not? But I did not brought all the pictures, but this patient is needed for MRI for surgical planning and also for better characterization. Okay, Helen, anything here? Is it abnormal? No? Yeah, okay. Yeah, thalamus, excellent. Thalamus is very, very
Yes, echogenic,
right?
yep.
They are symmetric, echogenic.
Yes,
What does
yes.
it mean? It means bad things. It means,
Yes.
it means HIE, okay?
Mm.
Good. And what's this?
Grade 4 IVF.
Grade 4, most likely this is grade 4 with liquefaction. This is how they look like. And what's this?
Maybe vein of Galen,
Why you say that?
because it's midline.
Could be
And
normal
equilibrium
variant.
structure.
Could be very positive, right?
Put Doppler.
Huh?
Doppler.
With the Doppler, good. Doppler showing this high grade flow, okay? And this is how they look like by CT scan, extensive kind of vascular malformation at the level of vein Galen. And so basically, you don't hesitate to put the color Doppler in everything you see, right? But whenever you see cavity, put the color Doppler. Even in superficial structures, okay? We see them, analyze them by ultrasound. Always with the color Doppler, make sure they are not communicating with the deep structures, okay? So this is like subcutaneous kind of, is it solid or cystic? Let's see.
So there is posterior acoustic
Yeah, what's that?
enhancement.
Physics, use your physics. There is a posterior acoustic shadow. Most likely it's a complex cystic, it's not solid. There's no flow, so and there's no communication. So this is your kind of most likely subdermoid cyst, or maybe subgale. It's kind of dermoid cyst most likely. Okay? And this is how they look like by CT scan. Any structure that you see in the soft tissue, always with the color to make sure they are not communicating, because if they are communicating, they need proper proper surgical planning. So just to make it, my take-home message is, my take-home message is this is the normal variant came development of Boston. This looks more or less very similar to the vein of Galen. The difference is, I know, the size, yes, but put the color to make sure that this is not that.